Hi everyone, welcome to the Learning Curve, Scale AI's monthly Tech Talk series. Today's topic is focusing on the developer experience. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping notes. This webinar is being recorded and we will send the recording to you via email. We will have a Q&A after the presentation, but if you have any questions as we go through the presentation, please submit them using the Q&A feature in the Zoom. Lastly, we will be sending a survey in the Zoom chat. Please complete it post-webinar. And with that, Sean, please go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much for that, Hannah. Really excited to be here with you all today. My name is Sean, and I manage Scale's field engineering team. With me today are four other talented field engineers, Yvonne, Matthias, Fatih, and Nofel. I'm going to let each of them do their own introductions as they present their different sections today. All right, well, let's dive in. So I want to give a quick overview of what we're going to be discussing today. We're really going to be focusing on the customer developer experience. We've been working hard to build out a set of tools that allows you to give us data to annotate, you to receive the labeled data back, and really understand what's happening with our platform and how to best take advantage of our different features. What I had in mind was to give you a quick overview about field engineering here at Scale. I'll have Fatih go ahead and present our newest Python SDK. We released a version 2.0, and we're excited to get all of its latest features into your hands. Next, I'm going to have Matthias walk through Sail, our data pipeline starter kit. We're going to follow that by having Yvonne talk through how to get Lidar and other types of sensor data into Scale in a really effective, easy to understand way. Lastly, we're going to close out by having Nofel walk through our interactive documentation, how to take advantage of its features. We should have time for about 10 minutes of question and answer after this. So please definitely take note of anything that's interesting to you and feel free to put it in the chat at any point throughout this presentation, as Hannah just mentioned. Field engineering at Scale is the bridge that connects our clients and the folks working with their clients to Scale's engineering and product teams. We're around the world and helping you get data into our platform, get it labeled, and get it back out. We do this by having a robust set of SDKs and docs that are ideally intuitive, easy to understand, and just work. When things don't just work, we're there to help debug our API, consult around best practices, or really just do anything that helps you understand how to best take advantage of our platform. And when things inevitably do go wrong because, well, we're all humans, we're there to also go backfill and correct data that might have been submitted incorrectly or require some other custom work on it. So with this, we are really your way to kind of connect with Scale technically, and we're there for your success. Next up, I'm going to have Fatih go through our Python SDK. Take it away, Fatih.
Thank you, Sean, for the great introduction. Hi, everyone. This is Fatih. I'm a field engineering in Scale, FE team. So I've been in Scale since 2021. And today I'm going to introduce you to Scale Python SDK. So as you know, Scale is a company which is driven by APIs. And the Scale API, the way we interact with the Scale backend systems as our customers, so you can heavily use our APIs to interact with Scale for creating tasks, retrieving tasks, or working with projects and batches. So the Python SDK built to help you in your interactions with the Scale API. It brings a lot of one-line quick operations, helps you to create tasks, do a lot of operations on batches and projects, and even allows you to download tasks very easily in a couple of lines of code. Python SDK is also supporting other toolkits of Scale, such as Lidar Toolkit and Sail, which will be presented to you today. So what you can do with a one line of code? So almost all kind of task operations you can do with Python SDK. We have methods for creating tasks, getting a task, downloading a batch of tasks, like you can just download thousands of tasks very easily. And also you can cancel any pending tasks that's not worked on yet. And any kind of batch operations are possible. You can create new batches, or when you're done with the batch, you can finalize it so that we can start working on it. And also you can see batch statuses at any time. and get a list of all of your batches. And projects as well, you can manage your projects via our SDK, as well as you can manage them on your dashboards. You can create new projects, update the parameters on projects, or list and download any kind of projects. So, and we have a great foundation, which helps us to provide scale-specific exception types when you're dealing with the API, as well as our HTTP handlers provides an auto retry. We know that a lot of time you can have network issues, which can interrupt you during your operations while interacting with the SDK, and those handlers provides auto retry so that you're not losing any work. And especially with the latest version that we released last month, we are bringing a new level of developer experience. Now you can download tasks with a one line of command. As you may familiar, in order to download multiple tasks, like hundreds of thousands of tasks, you had to do kind of pagination and tokenization and managing offsets. Then you don't need to do that anymore. We have the new get tasks as a generator method that you can run easily. You can create any kind of tasks, including Lidar. All tasks are now supported. And also we standardized the way you access the task parameters. And we're bringing a lot of new exception types, which allows you to do more granular exception handling. And as I said, auto retry with incremental backup is already implemented as well. So when we say one-liner, we really mean it. So on the left side, you can see an example of code piece, which used to be helping you to download, like, let's say, hundreds of thousands of tasks in a project, but now it's just one-liner doing the same thing. So I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough of the Python SDK through a demo. So you can just install a Scale API package from PyPy, and as you know from your dashboard, you can just download Scale API key. Let me just start. Yeah, let me just load them. So when you pass your API key to our Scale client, and client becomes like your interaction point with our API. And there are many operations that you can do. Let's create a new project first. SDK demo project. And my new project, client.createProject is one of our the main methods. You can specify the project name, and also you specify what kind of task that you will be creating. So as you see, like, the project is just created, so I can just check its attributes, project.name. Also, we have any object.asDictionary attribute, which allows you to have a look at any kind of attributes available, like created at, parameter history, etc. Next, we can just create a new batch as well. So batches are great ways to consolidate tasks together. So you create a batch, you create tasks in those batches, and until you finalize and you said that the batch is ready, we're just waiting for you to add more tasks. So our new batch can be created with create batch method. So I'm saying that this project will be the same project, and I will just create a batch name. So the new batch is created, and I can, let's say, run get status command to. So you can see there's no task, but there's just the batch status is still in staging. So we can just create new tasks in the batch. So you just create task payloads as a dictionary. So this is just a sample task that we create. Just let me create the payload. And creating a task is also straightforward. You just use client create a task, and you specify which kind of task type you want to create. And this is an image annotation task. And also I'm just passing the payload as a whole. So yeah. Here it is, my task is created. I can just double check the task ID parameter, which is a unique identifier given by scale backend. So making sure that task is just created, and I can see also task status. See, the task is still pending. It's created in the same batch and waiting for this batch to be created. As same as the project, task as dict, like as dictionary, gives us the whole parameters as a dictionary. So you can see created at all kind of parameters you have, all other details available in the task data. So you can also implement scale exception handling. So one example, we can just use try to create another task with a very similar payload, but I'll just remove my attachment URL from my payload so that I'm expecting scale backend to throw an exception. And we have the generic scale exception or many different exception types if you want to go more granular. And let's print the message here. So what you can do is like here, I'll try to run the whole method. And yep, as you see, I got the error message. Please provide an attachment as a URL or plain text so that you can just handle any kind of message instead of just getting directly a thrown exception. You can just manage that way. Remove and convert my payload back to the original position. Yeah. So in addition to that, we can also, there are different task operations that we can handle. Let's say I'm just creating another task. And since this task is still pending, I can just maybe create it by mistake and I can just run the cancel method and that just cancel those wrong tasks so that if I don't need it anymore, so I can just see it, and I can just run the refresh command and just get this just status to see that it's already canceled. So going back to my batch, so let's get the latest status from my batch, and I can see there's one canceled task, one pending task, and the status is staging. So assuming I'm ready with my batch, so I can just run the finalize command to finalize my batch. Now it means that all the pending tasks can be work on it. And I can just get the batch status again and just see that those tasks are completed. The batch status is completed as well. And I also get another refresh on my original task and also see my task status here as completed, as well as I can just get as dictionary and I can just get the task response, all other parameters completed at, etc. And the task response is also directly accessible by doing task response. And final note is like if I want to download a list of tasks, so we have the client.get tasks method where you can pass many parameters like project names, batch names, etc. I'll just download a task from one of the task projects that I have, and also imagine I want to query the task that's, let's say, only the ones that are already completed. So task list is a generator method. So what I can do is like I can just query this task list and let's say print task.id and task.status. Yeah, it's as you see, you can just get all of them. One alternative way to run it is like instead of running as a generator, you can just run as a list parameter and the task list become like a list where you can see the length, etc., and do any kind of task iteratable processes. So that's all as a summary. You can see more details if you visit the repository and all the README. Also, you can ask any kind of your questions that you have after the sessions. Thanks for your time, and I'll be passing to Matthias for the sales session.
Hi, I'm Matthias. I'm also from the field engineering team, and I've been at Scale for 7 months now. I'm going to talk a little bit about Sail, which is a recent project that we are working on. So what is Sail? Sail is a project that is meant to be like a starter kit. So even though we have our Python SDK that you can use to build your data pipeline with, the idea with Sail is to provide a whole project really easy to use and working, so you can start from that. In doing that, we wanted to do a few nice things built in. For example, managing all the project versioning. So when you change something from your project, you don't have to worry about that. The version is going to be pumped automatically. Also, we wanted to include batch creation and finalization, which it could be a bit complicated to do. We wanted to provide different methods in which you can upload or submit your tasks. So at the time, we are supporting like CSV and JSON files, or you can even use like a Python dictionary to describe your project, batch, and tasks. We also built concurrency for every operation, so this is going to run really fast. We also have some nice logging, error handling, retries, and idempotency. So the idea is that you can safely run this and you will always know what's going on, have like detailed errors so you can work on fix them. And that's basically the idea. I'm going to show you a little bit. So Sail, it's public GitHub repo, so you can just go and clone it, fork it. You can use it as is, it's working, or you can use it as a starter point and build on top of it. Or even though if you have already like a data pipeline or some code working, you can go to Sail and you will find like good examples on how to use our Python SDK or good practices about how to create tasks. For that purpose, we have a detailed README file with instructions on how to use Sail. And as I mentioned before, there are different ways in which you can provide Sail with the code, with the tasks, batches, and projects. But one of the simplest one is in the form of a Python dictionary. So as you can see here, you can describe in one place the whole thing, the whole project, batches, and tasks, and then use that to submit. So the intention here is to make it fairly easy to use. I want to show you, this is like the real Sail project. This file that we are looking is the same as here, like an example configuration one. So in this case, I will describe what I want to create. So I want to create a project that's going to be called Sail demo. It's going to be of type image annotation. And then you can describe the instruction, the callback URL, the geometries that you want to annotate on this project. Then you can describe the batches with the names. You can do these kind of things like overriding. For example, you can provide the callback URL at the project level, but you can also override it at the batch level. And finally, you provide the tasks. In this case, you can provide the tasks as a list right here, or you can even mix it with the CSV and JSON file. So in this case, it's going to merge in all the tasks, find in all these 3 different sources, and push them all together. We highly recommend that you use the recent new unique ID. So this will prevent having duplicate tasks. And even if you don't want to provide like a unique ID for each task, you can use this option that will generate a unique ID for you for every task. So how is this running? Okay, so this is really easy to use. You can go and run this script, providing an API key like this. And you will see that we try to output everything as simple, but also being like describing what's going on. So you know exactly what's going on with each of these items. And what we are going to do right now is try to make it produce an error. So you will see what happens in that case. So if we go right here, we want to add a new task. We are going to say this task is going to the batch number 3. And we're going to make the attachment URL wrong. So we save. If we go and run this again, so you will see that this is super safe to run as many times as you want, because everything that is already done is going to be skipped. So you have to worry about that. The project is not going to be created again. There you go. And as we expected, we have an error. One thing to mention about this is even if you have an error on one task, the script is not going to stop. It's going to continue, because you can finish running the script and then you go and fix the errors and you can rerun the script safely. So as you can see, everything was skipped. This new task has an error, and if we go and see, we even have the message here telling that this is not a valid URL. So if we go and fix this really quickly, just fixing the URL, save, we go and run it again. Once more, everything is going to be skipped. But this time, hopefully, yeah. So as you can see, the one remaining task was successfully created and everything else was skipped. So at this point, we can go to our dashboard and we should see this new project created. Here it is, sale demo with all the tasks. That's it. So after you are happy with the project and you say, okay, this is fine, there is one more thing you can do, which is to run the same script once again. But in this case, you can add this flag, which is called finalize batches. And this is going to do one more step at the end, which is to finalize the batches so the tasks can be worked on. There you go. All 3 batches were successfully finalized. And this is already working. One more thing I wanted to mention about this. So we have this sale main script, which is the one that creates tasks and projects. But we also added, here you can see on the README file, one more script that I'm not going to demo now, but it's meant to be used if you need to download like big projects, you need to download all the tasks. So we added another script, which is called task download, which is also fairly easy to use. And it allows you to download with concurrency, so it's going to be fast. And also it has this resume flag, which allows you to resume if for some reason the download is interrupted. You don't have to start from the beginning. So that's the idea behind Sail, is to make things easier to start on. I hope that you can use it, and we of course are waiting for any feedback on this. So next on is Ivan, that is going to be talking about the Lidar Toolkit.
Hello, my name is Ivan Raumek. I'm also part of the field engineering team. I have been working on Scale for a bit more than 2 years now. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the Lidar Toolkit. So, what is the Lidar Toolkit? For customers working on 3D data, you already know that the process of getting into standardized format can be a lot of work. That's why the Lidar Toolkit is here to help you to transform your 3D data into Scale API format. Working with different customers over the years, we realized that Lidar is a new technology with no rigid standard in place yet. This means that the store and work with Lidar change from team to team. That's why we created the Lidar Toolkit, a tool that provides the necessary abstraction that allow you to work with your data regardless of the format that you use. Scale API is expecting a specific format which is described in our documentation. The Lidar Toolkit is going to help you to achieve that format as easy as possible. So you can think the Lidar Toolkit as an abstraction layer, and since this is going to help you to move your data to the Scale API format, we created 4 main classes based on the main 4 core elements that the API is expecting. Those 4 elements are scene, frame, camera, and images. So on the Lidar Toolkit, you have the Lidar scene, which is the wrapper for the entire scene, and the one that is going to contain the frames. So the frame abstraction is the Lidar frame, which is the core of the scene. And the frame is going to contain some camera information and also the device position and rotation. We also have the LiDAR camera, which is the wrapper for the images, and the camera calibration lives at this level. LiDAR images, this is just the images attached to each camera. These four elements are the core of each LiDAR task. But we also have three helper classes that will help you, for example, to import your data, let's say for a BIM file or for a CSV file, to move that data into a NumPy list, for example. The transform helper is probably the most helpful helper of the list, which is the one that will help you with your rigid transformations and all the algebra operations that you will need to perform. And we also have the task helper, which is just a wrapper for the scale SDK. So if you're asking right now, so I can create more than just LiDAR tasks using the Lidar Toolkit, the answer is yes, you can create LiDAR semantic segmentation and LiDAR top-down tasks using the Lidar Toolkit. So on the left, we do have two simple examples of how to use these classes. I would like to highlight the first one because I really like how simple it is. This is the camera.calibrate. This example illustrates how easy it is to ingest your camera calibration into the LiDAR toolkit. So as you can see, in a few lines, you can calibrate the camera and it's super easy to understand what you are doing. So to speed the things up, the LiDAR toolkit also comes with some super cool debugging tools, which will help you to debug your data in local host without the need to submit new tasks. We do have two debuggers. The LiDAR debugger is the one that will help you to debug the ego to word transformation and the camera position. This means this is usually related with translation, the translation part of the scene. And the camera debugger will help you to debug the camera calibration, which we do use a lot to validate the camera intrinsic values. So how to get the LiDAR toolkit? Under the Scale account on GitHub, there is a repository called Scale LiDAR Toolkit. There is a README that explains how to install and use it. To install it is super easy, it's just run pip install. But if you prefer a more in-depth explanation, you can follow the Scale API documentation, which is linked on that README. So on this repository, you are also going to find a template script and some dummy data, which you can use to test the LiDAR toolkit and create your first LiDAR task. Also, as developers, we do understand how necessary is documentation. That's why the LiDAR toolkit is fully documented. And we also provide a guide that explains step by step how the template script works and how you can modify it to your needs. Speaking about documentation, up next, Nofel is going to present the interactive documentation. Thank you.
Hello there, my name is Nofel Nauman. I too am from the field engineering team here at Scale, and I will be walking us through Scale's interactive docs and guides. So back in July, our team shifted over to using README.io to host our API documentation, and we built out a new guide section to help customers get started with Scale. More recently, we really doubled down on the interactivity aspect of our API documentation, which is supported by README through the use of open API standards. And this helped us improve our consistency and make our API interactivity more dynamic. So let's go ahead and hop over to our guide section first. And here we can see there is a breakdown of general concepts of getting started with Scale, different aspects of our customer dashboard, and then information on how to get in touch with Scale and information on attachment hosting for task uploads. So let's go ahead and hop over to our API reference section. So this is where we can directly interact with our docs. Let's go ahead and start off by creating a project. So let's go ahead and start off by creating a project. And this all starts off with general default information. Let's go ahead and rename the project if we would like. Let's make sure that all this information is correct. And what we need is our API key, which can be found in our customer dashboard right here. So go into our docs, and we're going to paste our key right there and hit try it. And as we can see here, our project has been created. So let's go ahead and copy that project name, and let's go ahead and create a task into this project. So there we go. And once again, as we can see, there is a bunch of default information, mostly built out. And we can go ahead and add some labels here. Let's get a car label. Let's add a person label. And let's also go ahead and add a new attribute. Let's say inclusion. Attribute type has a default value of category, so we can leave this blank. Let's go ahead and is the object. And options yes, or choices yes or no. Perfect. And then let's go ahead, and we already have our API key in here, so we can just go ahead and hit try it. And we can see we have a task that was created. And also let's go ahead and copy this task ID and hop over to retrieve a task to see how the task is looking. And here we can retrieve all the information about a task. And this information will be updated as the task is worked on. Something that's very neat about working with this UI is, as we can see on each of these sections that I went through, we have a little section up here which actually updates as we update these actual fields, so in real time. So if we had changed this, we can see that this section actually changes as well. And what we can do is we can actually copy this entire section, and we can paste it, and we can run these commands separately. And as we can see up here, we have several different languages. So whatever you prefer to work in, we can copy this Python script, paste it, and run the script, and it will perform the same action. Yeah, so that's kind of the process of working with our API docs. And any general information other than our actual API endpoints and parameters, all that information can also be found in our API documentation. Thank you for listening, and I hope that our interactive API documentation is beneficial.
Great, thank you so much, field engineering team. As promised, we've arrived at the Q&A portion of our webinar today. So if you have not already and you have a question in mind, please submit it through the Q&A box and we will get to them. The first question I see here is, where can I see a change log of the SDK changes?
So the SDK changes are available in our GitHub repository. So when we publish a new release, it appears under the GitHub reports releases section, and we list down all the changes, like key changes, new improvements, new functionalities into the release notes. Also, if you want to get notified about the new releases of the SDK, you can just click watch in the GitHub page and just
subscribe yourself to the new releases so you can get an email from GitHub.
Great, thanks. Another question here that just came in. Does Scale AI support the Elixir language?
Yeah, I can take that one. Thanks for asking, Conrad. So the answer is any language that can make an API call, we're going to have support through with our API. So, we have our nice kind of SDKs and wrappers around the API, but at the end of the day, as long as you can make requests, you should be good. So pretty much all of our endpoints and product is going to be an API first product. So we should be set. Good question.
Another question I'm seeing here is, how do you see Sail expanding in the future?
Yeah, so for myself, I really see this as really trying to abstract every part that's not fun for you to build. And so if that means getting data out of S3 is not very fun or enjoyable, we want to abstract and automate those pieces, both getting data into Scale, along with getting data back out of Scale and into a format and a response that you can use really fast and easily. And so I think we're going to see a lot of investment on both sides of the coin there, getting data in, getting data back out into formats that are useful for you. So that's kind of where our vision is at over the next few months, is to kind of solidify Sail's core fundamentals and then really add some extra good stuff on both sides there.
Great. What other SDKs do you plan to support in the future in terms of language?
Yeah, so right now we have Node and Python. Those are the two that we've seen most of our customers use. If there are kind of questions for other languages, or you have a language that you're working with specifically, we'd love to kind of work with you on what an SDK might look like. There's probably some things that we can do to help you out, say for Ruby or some other kind of application that you might be developing on your side.
Great. If we're already using the early version of SDK, how do I upgrade?
So when we published the version 2, we also published a migration guide. You can find the migration guide in our GitHub repository page at the top of the README section. And the migration guide to version 2 explains step by step what kind of change that you need to do. We try to keep it as much as compatible to the earlier versions, but you can see like what is deprecated, what kind of new methods are available to you on the migration guide.
Great. We still have time for a couple more questions. So if anything is top of mind, please put it in the Q&A. Does Sail support Node? That's another question I see here.
Yes, great question. So kind of sort of the other ones, we're mostly going off of the demand and kind of what we're seeing from the most popular languages. So we don't have kind of a Node wrapper around the Sail concepts today. But people are kind of using other languages, or people are really excited about having Node support for a Sail-like application. Please do get in touch with us. It's you can pick your favorite kind of communication channel. I think there's going to be the events at scale.com, which we'll be monitoring, or you can have the sales line or support line. You can also let us know as you're getting started with your projects there. So good question.
Awesome. That's all the questions that I see in the Q&A here. Actually, one more just came in. So is it recommended to create many tasks and keep them relatively simple? Is it possible to add more complex annotation instructions with more than just text?
Yeah, great question. So we've seen both use cases, right? At the end of the day, when you have humans doing work, figuring out how to get those humans to be really effective and kind of learn your task is going to be key for us. That said, we have very complex tasks that we are doing today. So sometimes tasks can have, 30, 50 or more different types of labels and attribute combinations. And as opposed to kind of specifying everything as like, a short little bit of text there, we've seen some people actually start to embed like entire Google Docs with instructions. And these can be multiple pages. Frankly, the more information and context you give us to go help you label, the better we're going to do. And so if you have a 10-page Google Doc that lays out different examples and positive cases, negative cases, and how to handle certain edge cases, we would love to take that as opposed to just having, a few sentences about what to do. And we have an instruction section there. So I'm not sure who exactly was asking that, but feel free to kind of get in touch with us and we can point out how kind of embedding a Google document could work or some other options that we have for instructions there.
Awesome. All right. So as far as next steps go, keep an eye out for the recording. It'll be sent to you via email with the email that you provided during registration. please tell us what you think. So I believe we posted the link to the survey in the chat. So let us know how we did. Let us know if there's any other topics that you're interested in hearing more about. And please join us at our next Tech Talk. We'll be doing a fireside chat with Zenziact, and you can register to join us live at the link provided. We'll be sharing all of this information in the follow-up email as well. So with that, thank you so much, everybody, for attending today, and have a great rest of your day.